I'm going to be showing you guys how to make this Enzo top by Sandy Liang. The first thing you want to do is you want to turn your shirt inside out and vertically cut it in half, creating 2 flaps. Then you want to cut a quarter of the fabric off of one of the flaps, so we'll call this flap B. I cut off about 5 inches from mine, so be sure to leave room for a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Then you want to fold the edge of flap B so that the right side is facing up, then sew along the seam allowance line. You want to draw an L-shaped line on the other flap. Be sure to leave room for a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Cut off the remaining fabric and we'll call this flap A. Then you want to measure the edge of flap A and we'll call this measurement A. Decide how wide you want your ruffle to be. We'll call this measurement B. Make a pattern with a width of measurement A times 2 and a length of measurement B times 2. Be sure to leave a 1/2 inch seam allowance border around the sides and the top of the pattern. We'll call this pattern C. Then you want to fold pattern C in half so that the seam allowance lines are visible. Then you want to sew along the sides of the pattern. Turn pattern C on the right side, and if you think you'll need the linear guidance, you can add the seam allowance line to the right side edge of the pattern, or you can just use the lines on your sewing machine for guidance. Then you want to gather the pattern, and you can either use a gathering foot to create a ruffle. If you don't have a gathering foot, you can create a ruffle by setting your machine to the lowest tension number and the longest stitch. Or you can also create a ruffle by hand like I did. So check out the description for links for some other videos that I think clearly show how to create a ruffle. And if you don't find any of those videos helpful, let me know if you'd like me to make a tutorial on how to make a ruffle. With your shirt still inside out, you want to pin the edge of your ruffle to the edge of flap A. The wrong side of your ruffle should be facing up. Sew a 1/2 inch in from the edge. Before you attach your ruffle, you want to make sure that you hem the bottom part of flap A. So not the bottom part, but the side part. So you want to fold this over first and then hem it. Then turn your shirt right side out and then top stitch the ruffle. If your ruffle won't stay in place, you can press it down with an iron. Then after that, you want to decide how long you want your ties to be. We'll call this measurement D. Then decide how wide you want your ties to be, and we'll call this measurement E. Make a pattern with a width of measurement D and a length of measurement E times 2. You'll need 2 of these patterns. We'll call them pattern F1 and pattern F2. Leave room for seam allowance all around the pattern. My pattern is 20 inches wide and 4 inches long. Then you want to fold the pattern in half with the wrong side facing out and sew along one of the side seam allowance lines and all along the top seam allowance line. Be sure to leave one side open so that you can turn the pattern inside out. After you turn the pattern inside out, tuck the open edge inside of the tube. Repeat this step with pattern F2. With your shirt on the right side, pin pattern F1 under the edge of flap A and sew an X over the flap. Then pin pattern F2 to the side seam of the shirt and sew an X over the pattern. Make sure you try on your shirt before you sew the ties to your shirt. And finito! There you have it. Super duper cute open back ruffle top inspired by Sandy Liang's Enzo top.